Good evening. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Living Paranormally with me, your hostess, Paranormal Pixie Laura. I'm so glad to see all of you who've come to join us tonight and those that'll watch in the future. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I know that it has been a little while since I've been able to do a regular stream. Life has been hectic. With the passing of my father, my own personal health, and so on, things have just been a little chaotic around here. So I appreciate all of you who've been asking about me, those that were concerned that maybe there were issues between me and Gemma, which there's not. Um, anyway, I'm just glad to be here. Glad to see each and every one of you. So tonight, I'm going to try to get us back into sort of our regular rhythm. And I want to welcome all of you in. And tonight I'm going to light our candle. Those of you that don't know, I sort of created a little ceremony for each of the gemstones where I'm going to light a candle and ask our guides, our guardians, our angels, all of those beings that watch over us in love and light only, to come and join us and to help me speak clearly and give messages to you that will help you on your journey. Our candle tonight, with the chaos happening in the world right now, I thought needed to be for calm. I've been needing calm myself, and I know that each of you are trying to find ways to find those calm moments during your daily lives, whether it's spending a few moments watching TV with a loved one or um, cuddling with your fur baby or laughing with a good friend. All of those can be calm moments. All of those can be peaceful moments. So I'm going to light our candle and ask that we each be given those calm moments that we need when we need them, and that we find that peace that we're seeking. You want me to sing happy birthday to ghost dragons? I could do that. I could absolutely do that. And Val says happy birthday to Aunt Edna. Oh, is it Edna's birthday? Okay, we can do that. Well then, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Edna. Happy birthday to you. And many more, darling. Many, many more. Now, that said, if I was a little more prepared, the group that I belong to, the Society for Creative Anachronism, has many wonderful bardic singers. Um, a bard is a performer. And one in particular, many years ago, in true fun tradition of bardic, wrote a birthday dirge. I'll sing you one verse, my favorite verse. So just like an old dirge, you hear the refrain and everyone says, "Oh, happy birthday, oh, happy birthday, oh, may the candles on your cake Burn like cities in your wake. Happy birthday. Oh, it's a silly song with many verses, and they've been added to over the years. I heard it the first time, oh, it was back in the mid 80s when I first started um, playing with them, and I I've loved it ever since. It it makes you laugh, and laughter is something we all need. So before I get going too much further, I'm going to light us all a little bit of Palo Santo. Palo Santo to me is a very, because it's so grounding, it's also, really good for calm, for peace. So I'm going to light us a little bit of Palo Santo. Now, I've recently heard another podcaster talk about not using or being mindful when using Palo Santo, being mindful when using sage in the practice of smudging, that it could be considered cultural appropriation. Now, for me, because this practice was taught to me by a priestess, by someone who has studied under great shaman, priests, and priestesses from around the world, and because I do this with reverence to its sacred origins, it's something that I hold dearly, and it is a practice that I will continue. But when we do our spiritual practices, it is good to keep in mind where those practices came from and to be mindful and to be respectful of those practices. So, with that, I pulled a few stone cards for us this evening in kind of keeping with that theme of, bringing calm, bringing peace. Um, the stone cards are from my gemstone affirmation deck that many of you are familiar with by now, from Sage Goddess and the lady I was speaking of, Athena Caracas. She's also a professor. And so the first card that I have here is Lemurian Blue Calcite. Now I have a generator, which is, well, in this case, it would be an obelisk, okay, because it's four-sided. And as you can see, when the light hits it, it really, the light glows through it because it's rather translucent. Now, Lemurian blue calcite activates the throat chakra for peaceful communication and the heart chakra for deep emotional healing. It brings happiness and peace and helps you unlock past life memories. Encoded with ancient Lemurian wisdom, this crystal of interdimensional communication, this is a crystal of interdimensional communication and higher wisdom. With its affirmation being, I receive the ancient wisdom waiting for me. I am happy and at peace. And so here's its card. If you wanted to screenshot that so that you know what to look for, and I'll show it to you again. I'm going to show it to you up close. So if you look really closely, you can see all of the layers within the calcite that would be what they're referring to as Lemurian wisdom. Each one of those layers, you're talking thousands of years to form before this was cut from stone. And it's believed that each one of those Lemurian minds has wisdom stored for each of us. So those who practice metaphysics will often use something that has those Lemurian lines during meditation when they're seeking wisdom from higher self, from their angels, and so on. Then the next one I pulled for us is aquamarine. And aquamarine, now sometimes you'll see it, it's very translucent, very gemmy. Sometimes it is more deep, more ice-like. And with the glare from my window, let's see, there we go. So you can get a much better view of what this chunk of aquamarine is like. Aquamarine activates the throat chakra and helps you integrate all aspects of yourself to become a more whole, empowered being. It's a crystal of the sea with calming vibration that enhances intuition, imagination, and creativity. The ancients believed it was the mermaid's treasure and brought protection and good luck and happiness. Aquamarine is emotionally balancing and healing. It says for the affirmation, I am whole, empowered, and healed. And there is its card. And I find, aquamarine, even the first time that I saw it, invoked very ocean vibes. It reminds me of that um, ocean, almost sea spray color, and very watery feeling, energy to it that I do find I like to use it for dream interpretation. So if I've had dreams that maybe I'm trying to get more clarity on, I will use it when I meditate for clarification on those dreams. Then, lastly, for our stones tonight, I actually got some azurite and malachite, and so we actually get two cards with that. There's not one for both. Azurite and malachite will often grow together, and azurite having really almost a bright, like the color of my shirt, blue, and then malachite, that beautiful, deep, deep green. Azurite and malachite. Azurite is a third eye chakra gemstone of psychic mastery, vision, and confidence. It is known as the priestess stone and was prized by Cleopatra, who believed it gave her emotionally charged, or psychic powers and cleanses subconscious of emotionally charged thoughts and negative feelings. It transmutes any hidden or limiting beliefs that prevent you from walking fully in your power. With malachite, it is the most potent stone of feminine healing. In its ancient medicine, works magic for any feminine problems involving reproductive system. Malachite also enhances diplomatic powers, helping you communicate with grace and resolve. It provides EMF protection. I'll have to look into that one. creating an energetic barrier that keeps lower vibration and frequencies away. With the Malachite affirmation, I am healed by the divine feminine. I am considerate and gracious in my communication. And with Azurite, my vision is expanding and I'm open to possibility. And all of these, here is a beautiful piece of Azurite and Malachite. And you can see, the deep greens of the Malachite mixed in with the deep blues of the Azurite there. And this also has, if you look there, a little bit of hematite and even some, I think this one actually has a little bit of black tourmaline in it. All of these have to do with communication as well. But notice, they're all blue cards, which, you know, is associated with the throat chakra and communication. And with the chaos that we're seeing right now, and I'm not going to get too political, and I don't want any politics in the chat, but with recent goings on, getting ready for an election year, we've had one president step down, and so on. There's a lot of communicating and communication conflict going on that I think we need to take time and step back from and find a way to step into our calm. And how can we communicate with other people our thoughts, our passions, our ideas without overriding and overbearing what the other person may be seeing, feeling, hearing, knowing, and do it all in a calm manner. And the same goes with like the recent emails that Gemma had come up and becoming excited that maybe something was wrong, that there was something wrong between us, um, instead of going to, okay, I have questions. Where do I come from that, from a place of calm before I ask those questions? And it could have gone differently had they asked me, are you okay? What's going on with you? Or asked Gemma, is everything okay? Is there anything we can do? Oftentimes that gets left out of the equation. Is I see a problem that needs fixed. Who's going to fix it? Instead of, well, is there something maybe I can do? Is it simply step back and be supportive? Is it maybe be more supportive and proactive in reaching out to your neighbor, reaching out to a friend or a loved one that you haven't heard from in a while, you haven't seen in a while, and seeing if everything's okay. But coming at it from a place of a calm mind instead of a chaotic mind, I think is something that we really need to focus on right now. Let's see. Last time I didn't get to show you, and I wanted to show you my latest oracle deck, and it goes back to, as an artist, like, I like to support other artists, and this particular um, deck is called the Everyday Witches Familiars Oracle by Deborah Blake, but the art is by Elizabeth Alba. And here is what the outside looks like. And it's brand new, was just released. Um, and when I saw the cards, and having recently been diving into working more with spirit animals, spirit guardians, guardian animals, and helping others to understand, you know, do I have a spirit animal? What are they? What mine might be, and so on. I jumped on the chance to get this beautiful, beautiful deck. Here's what the guidebook looks like. And each of the um, pages are very nicely done. You know, they are in order by number, so it's real easy to go through. But then it also has the artwork of the animal, where it makes it super easy, you know, to flip through. Oh wait, I'm looking for the raven. But you also have its card number and title there, and then its divination information and message. Now, I'm not going to read directly from the book because I'll be honest, I don't have cheater glasses that are strong enough anymore. I'm actually due to get an eye exam and see if we can increase my prescription for my progressives. As you may not realize it, but I actually wear bifocals and have since I was 40 because of the macular degeneration. So when you're dealing with print that's as tiny as this, um, and you have bad eyes, I sometimes will screenshot it with my phone so that I can blow it up really big to be able to read it. But I will go through and show you a few of the cards. And so I'm going to just shuffle, and I'm going to draw a couple of random cards. And then what I will even do is, oh, let's see here, flip those around. That's right, I forgot these got spilled. So some of them are flipped around. There we go. That's better. I'm going to get them all so the backs were facing up. And just pull a couple of random cards. And I'm hearing 3, 2, 3. So we'll pull that one. Oh, what do we have here? We have fire. Card number 7, wild boar. And so reading the way I do, the first thing that I would say about the energy of this card is one of caution, okay? And not of fear, but one of caution. And I say that because of my agreements I have with my colors and my images and my numbers. And so right now, what I'm saying for the collective is to approach things with caution. I'm going to pull another card for you. What do we got here? Cut deck. Okay, cut deck is what I'm hearing. And what I get, it's this one. Okay, firefly. Don't be afraid to look for magic all around you. It happens all the time. Things that we once considered to be magic or alchemy are everyday and mundane now. We now understand the biochemistry, the bioluminescence that happens within the firefly, and it has become nature as opposed to supernatural. And that's a lot of the reason why I do what I do, is to help you understand that the supernatural is just that which we have yet to fully understand. Working with my psychic abilities, working with um, the different crystals and stones and how they can help us in our everyday lives. It's, you know, magic, or is it natural? I'm going to pull one more card. Really? Okay. Here, tuck back down low. Ah, chameleon. And with chameleon, again, it goes to change and understanding that what we see and what reality is aren't always exactly the same, and yet they are, because it's still the same being, it's still the same thing, it's still the same rock, it's still the same wood, but if we change how we look at it, is it supernatural or is it just natural? Uh, it, stones like lepidolite, which is one of my favorites of late. Don't have one handy right now. This is really pretty, lavender, almost lilac colored stone that we know contains lithium. And the medical industry, doctors understand now that lithium is actually can be helpful to the body. It's used for someone who's having a heart attack, for instance. And so interacting with a stone that contains something that supports the body, well, is that supernatural or is that just natural? So where does that fall for you? Okay. I'm not going to stay on too long because one of the things that I've been dealing with, and it's been really hard this last week and a half, is for the first time in over 4 years, so uh, pre the big C, um, I used to go and get trigger point injections. They would do anywhere from 8 to 16 injections in my back, from the back of my neck all the way down to my hips, um, of lidocaine into the muscles to help ease the charley horsing and massive nerve pain that I deal with because of the way things shut down and then a change of doctors. I haven't been able to get them in 4 years. So, a week and a half ago, I got them. I got 8 of them. And she did 4 in my rib cage, mid thoracic area, 2 on each side. And then she did in my lower back around the lumbar where I've had surgeries, and 2 on each side. And the mid thoracic has been in such excruciating pain, I can hardly think straight. I was doing better yesterday, first day in a couple of weeks, or well, since the injection, that it had calmed down. But today I twinged it, so the pain just spiked right back up. On a scale of 1 to 10, my pain level right now, and that's with medications and salves and my heating pad and all of that. My pain level is sitting at about a 7.5 to an 8. And some people will say, well, you don't look like you're in pain. No, I don't, because I've learned how to hide it. I've had to live with it for so long. I've had to fight it for so long that I've learned how to mask. I've learned how to act as though I'm normal, because after a while you get tired of explaining yourself. You get tired of people criticizing you. You get tired of not being believed, and a myriad of other things. And so, with my pain level being pretty high, I don't want to go too long because I'll need to go put some more, salve on my back. Take a sip. Ah, and stretch and move and work the knots out. But I don't know if I delve really far into it, but I wanted to share some of the moments that have been coming back to me, the highlights of my trip to Minnesota last April and the Haunted Palmer House Hotel there in Sauk Center, Minnesota. Um, it was an absolutely amazing little, almost like bed and breakfast type hotel, because it's only got a handful of rooms on the 2 upper floors, and then the main floor has a little pub and then a small diner, and it's only open on the weekends for different groups to come through, like what we did, because it's known that it's haunted. And honestly, the spirits that are there, so long as people are respectful, they like it. They enjoy the interaction. Sometimes they're a little bit tricksters in that they like to play games and joke. But it's an amazing place. The decor is very, um, yeah, turn of the 1900s, turn of the century, Victorian. Lots of beautiful hardwood, carved railings, wall panels, um, and they have a lot of photographs from, the early time when the building was first erected. It did have fire that occurred that had to be, refurbished, rebuilt from. But when we were there, one of the things that we did during the day, we had lectures, and during the evenings, we were separated into groups, and we each group would go to a section of the building, a level of the building, either down in the basement with my teacher, Sarah, on the main floor with uh, Dave Schrader, okay, or on the upper floor with the gentleman who's there doing technical work. And I apologize, I can't remember his name right now. But we would go to these different areas and learn different techniques. Down in the basement, um, we were doing a combination of, okay, those of us with mediumship abilities, psychic abilities, tapping in what information was coming to us, and so on, as well as what Sarah was picking up with her abilities. And then we had a REM pod, which detects um, interference in the EMF field around its little antenna, and so it'll light up and make noise if something comes and interrupts that EMF field. And then they also had a K2 meter, which, many of you who are into investigating already know that is a device that was originally used and still used by construction industry to detect spikes in EMF and so on, to make sure like there's no exposed wiring and things like that. And so we had those two set up, and as we were getting interaction, you know, those of us with abilities would, speak up and say, okay, I'm feeling something move beside me. And then Sarah would say, okay, here's what I'm sensing. And if it was, we were actually having loved ones come in from the people that were there because they had heard these people talking about their trip and knew that there would be a means for them to communicate. Our loved ones are around us all the time. Okay, maybe not all the time, they come and go, but they pay attention. And so they knew that these individuals were going to be there and came through in ways that they could communicate between those of us, seers, feelers, and knowers, um, and then using the equipment as validation that yes, that's what they're there for, you know, do you, and as answering questions. One in particular was a young lady, and their family member not only wanted to come through to say, hey, yes, I am with you. Yes, I do know about, recent birthdays and so on, but also to express their concern for mother's, um, how she's eating, how she's watching after her own health, which I thought was just beautiful. We got some wonderful EVP, which is electronic voice phenomenon, with Dave, of showing how the resident spirits, and I know some people don't believe that children can be spirits. I have a different experience than that. And so the EVP was working with this one particular child that often shows up during these investigations. And Dave even played it on his podcast, um, where he says, I'm going to do an alphabet game with you, and if you're able to finish the other half, we can play this game. And so he said A, B, C, D, and then you hear E, F, G, H, clear as day, come through on the recorder. And it was only on the recorder. There was no sound heard at the time, but because he would do spurt sessions, or burst sessions, he was able to, within, a few minutes, played it back and said, look what we got. And we were all able to hear in the moment which I thought was just beautiful later on. And I know there's some mixed feelings by folks about whether or not apps for ghost investigating on your phone can work or how they work and so on. Well, I do, I have one that I've used a couple of times. I really like it. It's a word generator, um, a word bank that the idea behind it is that spirit can use their energy to manipulate the data bank so that it can pull words from this dictionary. And it's like 2,000 words. Okay. So, yeah, it can be extremely random. However, it I found it to be pretty precise. Diana and I sat down on the couch in the lobby and said, we're just going to have a really nice conversation. Um, and nobody else was really around. There were some people off in far distance, so that I knew we weren't going to bother them. They weren't going to bother us. So we said, hey, um, to the spirits, the entities that reside here, no longer among the living, that would like to come communicate with us in love and light only. Um, we'd love to sit down and have a conversation with you if you're willing. And immediately her obvious device said, thank you. And so we had two different devices. Hers was an actual Ovilus type device. Mine was the app on my phone, both going at the same time. But they were on opposite ends. And there's no way for these objects, these apps, these machines to interact with each other. There was no outside interference. I was sitting on one end of the couch, she was sitting on the other, and so we began to have an open conversation. First, we said, thank you for allowing us to stay in this beautiful location to get to experience what it's like to interact with you, and would love for you to have a conversation with us and tell us more about some of the wonderful things about this place. Before we knew it, we had a full conversation going with spirits of the Palmer about how the basement area had been used during Prohibition to store barrels of rum and other alcohol, um, to be smuggled under the ground through these tunnels that went to other buildings. Now we know later from talking to the owner that indeed it was used as a place for a speakeasy and for rum running during Prohibition, and that they suspect that there were tunnels that went from the Palmer to these other two buildings because they're in line, and the other two buildings they know have tunnels that go between them as well. And so it was really nice getting that validation after our conversation that yes, indeed, the information, the conversation that we had was valid. It they were there, they were talking with us. Um, to me, because of my beliefs, because of the way I was brought up, I thought it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Um, it really gave me a chance to kind of breathe deep and spread my psychic wings to live paranormally. I'll leave you with this. The first time in probably a decade, I saw at the Palmer what I call house fairies. call it an orb, call it a spirit light, whatever you'd like to call it. It was about the size of a gumball. I had stepped outside and was standing under the street light right outside the door of the Palmer. And at first, I thought it was like a white feather because there were poultry trucks that were driving through town. And I saw it drift across the street and kind of swirled back and forth. And it came up in front of me just beyond arm's reach. So maybe 4 feet away. And I watched it as it stopped. And I could see that it was this solid, luminous orb of light, sort of bluish white. And it, for lack of a better term, powered up. So it got brighter and emitted light from around it, sort of like turning up a night light and how it kind of glows around it. It powered up, and then I watched it as it zigzagged and went straight up beyond the view of the street light, out of out of sight. And I immediately had to turn around, ran back inside, and shared it with Diana because uh, to me, they've always been signs of spirit and that my guides, my guardians, my family are around, or that other spirits are around and giving acknowledgement and thanks. So, with that, I'm going to dip out tonight. I will do my best to be back in 2 weeks. Gemma will be on tomorrow night for her one card intuitive oracle readings at about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come and join her. Get your spot in line. Be here early if you can. Saturday, look for Ghost Dragons. I bet he will be around doing his late night stream replays with Gemma. And with that, I hope that you all find the calm and peace and happiness that you so deserve. Love, light, and blessings, everyone, and good night.